Last week I was out inspecting home daycares, and one of them I ran across. I went in, introduced myself, went to the inspection process. This lady had several kids, and of varying age, anywhere from 2 to 4 years old. And after I did the inspection, I sit down with her. We go over the paperwork to make sure she's doing her fire drills monthly, her tornado drills, kind of getting the paperwork end of it figured out. And I noticed this little boy, probably 2 to 3 years old, sitting across from me. And initially I thought he had a burn on the side of his face. And the daycare provider and I continued to talk, and he turned to one side, and I noted what appeared to be pretty much a very distinctive slap mark on the side of his face. He had pretty much just an imprint of a hand, via red marks on the side of his face, kind of starting out at the left side of his face in the corner by his mouth, continuing up to his ear. I noted about 3 or 4 red marks, 3 to 4 inches in length, and then a couple small red marks near his left eye. So I'm assuming this was probably the fingerprints and the thumbprint. And then he had a little bruising around his eye as well. Part of the reason I became kind of suspicious of this is during the conversation about the child's, how this possibly happened to him, she said that the parents were in the process of getting a divorce and there was a boyfriend involved. So that kind of got my curiosity up. Then additionally, she said that the child had a different story than the mom. So that's the reason I became especially suspicious. I tried to strike up a conversation with the child to kind of figure out, hey buddy, what happened? You okay? And of course he was cutting up with his little pal next door, or next to him, so he didn't respond. So I asked the daycare provider, like, what's up with this? And she said, oh, you noticed that? And I said, well, how could he not notice anything like that? And she said, well, I've been kind of torn. Gee, should I go ahead and notify the SRS on this or not? And I told her at that point, I said, well, if you're not going to, then I will. I suggested that she call Eldonna Chestnut of Johnson County Child Care Services to kind of get the ball rolling. She knew Eldonna well, so she thought that would be a good starting point. I then told her that what she needed to do was get the ball rolling by calling Eldonna, then to call me once that call was complete. That way I knew the process was started. Finished my report, went on out, and sure enough, about 2 hours later, she called me up and told me that she'd made contact with Eldonna, who in turn called SRS. I in turn called Eldonna to verify this information, and she said yes, SRS had a case, and then she was going to call the daycare provider back to see if she would mind taking a picture of the child's injuries for evidence. Then I went ahead and emailed Eldonna all my narrative of this incident later on that day, and I thought that was probably going to be all I heard. About 2 days later, I get an email back from Eldonna stating that kind of the information regarding that SRS was involved in this, gave me the detective's name from Overland Park Police Department, and that it had been investigated and an arrest had been made. So I was pleasantly surprised and pleased that an arrest was made, and so quickly. Truthfully, all I did, I just kind of got the ball roll. I just detected an issue or what I felt was an issue, and I got the ball rolling. Truthfully, everybody else kind of did their job, so they're the ones that should be commended for this. First off, the City of Overland Park's Public Safety Committee, by thinking ahead with regard to Lexi's Law, allowing us to actually go in and do daycare providers do their inspections every year instead of just the once in a lifetime that the state requires. And then Eldonna Chestnut for providing guidance to this poor daycare provider who was really in a bad situation. And also SRS and the Overland Park Police Department detective who kind of got the ball rolling and made the arrest.